This video is about the book of Daniel, specifically chapters 2 and 7, and there's more detail on Daniel in my new book, God, Mind, Body, available now to read for free on my website, robertensor.com, spelled Ensor, or you can buy it from Amazon as a paperback or an ebook format. So there'll be links in the description below. Now, Daniel is one of the most fascinating books of the Bible because it contains the keys to understanding history, especially the history of the Middle East and the future of humanity and the earth. So, traditionally, the book of Daniel was believed to be written by the Hebrew prophet Daniel in the 6th century BC. I agree with this tradition. I mean, King Nebuchadnezzar II, who reigned from 605 to 562 BC, is in the book, and the book has the context of the Babylonian captivity that occurred in the 6th century BC. Now, the Babylonian captivity was when the Jews were taken from Judah to Babylon as captives following their defeat by Nebuchadnezzar. So, some scholars believe the book was written in the 2nd century BC, primarily as a history of the Seleucid tyrant Antiochus Epiphanes, who was around from 215 to 164 BC, as well as the Maccabean revolt and the Persian Empire. So this is odd when you consider that the book is set during the Babylonian captivity of the 6th century BC, and the style of the book is clearly prophetic and future oriented and full of symbols. So if the Jews of the 2nd century BC had wanted to chronicle their experiences with the Seleucids, there would have been no need to use the complex animal, horn, and metallic symbolism found in the book of Daniel. But if the book of Daniel was dated earlier than the 2nd century, the 2nd century BC, it would obviously have correctly predicted several historical episodes, including the conquests of Alexander the Great, the wars of the Seleucids and the Ptolemies, as well as the Seleucid tyrant Antiochus Epiphanes' desecration of the temple. But some scholars just can't bring themselves to believe that correct prophecy is possible, despite a lot of evidence to the contrary. So Jesus believed that Daniel was a prophet. He referred to Daniel's prophecy in the Olivet Discourse, that's found in Matthew 24, verse 15. For all Christians, this fact should effectively end the debate as to whether Daniel was primarily or solely writing about Antiochus Epiphanes, as some believe, because the founder of our religion acknowledged Daniel as a prophet whose prophecy was unfulfilled as of circa 30 AD, which was almost 2 centuries after Antiochus's reign. We'll begin with chapter 2 of Daniel. In the 6th century BC, King Nebuchadnezzar II of the Babylonian Empire, who had conquered Jerusalem, was frightened by a disturbing dream. Without telling them the content of the dream, he called upon his magi to recount the dream to him and interpret it for him. Otherwise, they would be put to death. So the magi could not do what the king asked of them, and they were terrified of execution. Daniel, who was at the court in Babylon with other Jewish deportees, prayed to God for the ability to know the king's dream and its meaning. When his prayer was answered, Daniel came forward and proceeded to accurately describe the king's dream, which was about a statue of a man. The head was made of gold, the chest and arms of the statue were made of silver, and the belly and thighs were made of bronze, and the legs of the statue were made of iron. The feet of the statue were part of iron and part of clay. Then a stone cut out without hands struck the statue on its feet, and the statue was smashed to pieces in Daniel 2:33. The stone became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. That's from Daniel 2:35. So King Nebuchadnezzar was amazed that Daniel had correctly recounted the dream which he hadn't told anyone and praised Daniel's God. Daniel interpreted the golden head of the statue as Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom and the other parts of the statue as kingdoms that would come after his time. The feet of iron and clay Daniel saw as a divided kingdom that would be partly strong and partly brittle. In the days of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom which will never be destroyed, nor will its sovereignty be left to another, but it will break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it will stand forever. That's from Daniel 2:44. So Christians have interpreted the metals in the dream as representing the Babylonian, Persian, Greek, and Roman empires, with the Babylonian Empire represented as gold, the Persian Empire represented as silver, the Greek Empire represented as bronze, and the Roman Empire represented as iron. Now, the reason for this is that Babylon fell to the Medes and the Persians, who were succeeded by the Greeks, who were conquered in their turn by the Romans. So there's a chronology to the statue. Indeed, the chief Babylonian deity Marduk was associated with gold, and the city of Babylon was famously decorated with gold. And the silver arms of the Second World Empire indicated that it would actually be comprised of two empires, Media and Persia. The Medes and the Persians united in 550 BC and conquered Babylon in 539 BC. Likewise, the Greco-Macedonian Empire was split into four significant kingdoms after the death of Alexander the Great, but two of these were the most prominent, and these were the Ptolemaic Egyptian kingdom and the Syriac Seleucid kingdom, symbolized by the two bronze thighs of the statue. Flavius Josephus, the Jewish historian, identified Rome as the fourth kingdom of Daniel, and iron was understood as a symbol for the strength and militaristic aggression of the Roman Empire. Of course, Christians see the stone replacing the statue as the coming of Christ's kingdom. Whether that kingdom be on heaven or earth depends on the denomination and the individual. It is, however, pretty clear that this messianic kingdom is implied to be at least partly on the current earth, the ground that the statue and the kingdoms it represented stood upon, because Daniel said the stone filled the whole earth. That's Daniel 2:35. Again, Jesus is the stone the builders rejected. That's based on Psalm 118 and Acts 4:11. He was cut out without hands because he is God and man, who does not come from a man but from God. So the fact that this stone became a mountain is an allusion to the holy mountain of Isaiah and Ezekiel, on which the Messiah's temple rests and from which he will rule the world in the books of those prophets. So after interpreting Nebuchadnezzar's dream, Daniel himself had a dream and visions about various beasts while lying in his bed. This is now Daniel chapter 7. Like John the Apostle in the Revelation, Daniel equated the animals or beasts with kingdoms. These great animals, which are four kings that will arise out of the earth. That's Daniel 7:17. And the fourth animal will be a fourth kingdom on earth. That's Daniel 7:23. So both John's beast and Daniel's animals came out of the sea. And the citations for that are Daniel 7:3 and Revelation 13:1. So the first animal, a lion with the heart of a man, was the Babylonian Empire. The lion was an ancient Babylonian symbol for their king, and lions used to roam the plains of ancient Mesopotamia, which is where Babylon was located. So in Jeremiah, the book of Jeremiah the prophet, the Babylonians are likened to lions. That's in Jeremiah 51:38. And in chapter 4 of Daniel, King Nebuchadnezzar II of Babylon is described as being given an animal's heart. After a period of madness, the heart or mind of a man was restored to him by God. The second animal in Daniel's visions was a bear raised up on one side with three ribs in its mouth. This was the Medo-Persian Empire. The three ribs in the bear's mouth symbolize the kingdoms of Babylon, Lydia, and Egypt, which were conquered by the Persians. The bear being raised up on one side indicates that Persia would come to dominate the Median Empire, and this interpretation is borne out by the facts of history. The combination of the Medes and Persians into a single beast or unit of analysis has precedent within the text itself and the symbology of Daniel. So, an angel who interpreted one of Daniel's later visions described the two horns of a ram as standing for the Median and the Persian Empire. That's in Daniel 8:20. Therefore, we can safely identify the bear as the combined Medo-Persian Empire as a symbol for that empire. The third beast, a leopard with four heads and four wings, was the Greek Empire. And the choice of a leopard, the fastest of the three animals, signifies the speed of King Alexander the Great's conquests, which took place within just 12 years. So the four heads and four wings of the leopard symbolize the division of the Greek Empire following Alexander the Great's death. The dreadful fourth beast with iron teeth that is different from the others and more powerful represents the Roman Empire. The 10 horns of this fourth beast are identified in the text as 10 kings that will arise out of the fourth kingdom and represent 10 kingdoms that come in the wake of the Roman Empire. Then Daniel spoke of a arrogant, blasphemous little horn with the eyes of a man on the fourth beast, before whom three of the other horns were uprooted. That's in Daniel 7:8. This little horn is the Antichrist because it fits with the description of the Antichrist, also known as the beast, in the book of Revelation and in later chapters of Daniel and elsewhere in the Bible. Now, if you want to find out more about the Antichrist, I recommend you look at my book, God, Mind, Body, which contains much more information. Now, I'm not suggesting any current leader is the Antichrist. He is yet to appear. Eventually, in Daniel's vision, the fourth beast was destroyed by fire, and one like a son of man was given an everlasting kingdom. The Son of Man is how Jesus identified himself in, for example, Mark chapter 2, and that was based on this usage in Daniel. An angel explained to Daniel that the little horn was one that would arise after the 10 kings, and he will put down 3 kings and wear out the saints of the Most High. That's in Daniel 7:25. The times and the law will be given to him until time, times, and half a time. That's from Daniel 7:25 as well. So Daniel foretold that the kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole sky will be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. That's from Daniel 7:27. So this last part is a prophecy of the Messiah coming to rule the earth with the saints, and for Christians like me, it's a clear reference to the second coming of Jesus. So let's cross-reference the two dreams for a clearer picture as they are closely related. The gold, silver, and bronze in the statue of Nebuchadnezzar's dream are clearly meant to correspond to the lion representing Babylon, the bear representing the Medo-Persian Empire, and the leopard standing for the Greek Empire that are found in Daniel's vision. There are 4 metals and 4 animals, and iron comes forth in both dreams, equating the Iron Empire of the statue with the 4th animal who has iron teeth in Daniel 7:7. The divided kingdom symbolized by the feet of clay and iron corresponds to the fourth beast's latter phase. So the feet represent the various kingdoms that came after Rome, which to some extent inherited Rome's cultural legacy, borrowing as they did, the Latin alphabet, elements from the Roman language, architecture, military tactics, law, diplomacy, religion. I mean, the late Romans were Christian, and Roman political institutions such as the Senate. The Renaissance, which laid the groundwork of our modern science, technology, and art, was literally a resurgence of interest in all things Greco-Roman, and that may also account for the preservation of some Roman iron in the statue's feet. The Roman Empire was also administratively divided into eastern and western parts by the Emperor Diocletian in 286 AD. Now, although Constantine the Great reunited the two parts for a time and the two empires were usually allies, the division ultimately stuck, and it was represented symbolically in the statue by the legs of iron, which are obviously 2 legs. So while the Western Roman Empire finally collapsed in 476 AD, the Eastern Roman Empire, or Byzantine Empire, centered on Constantinople, did not fall until 1453 AD, which also accounts for the continuation of some Roman iron in the feet and toes of the statue. So Europe and the Mediterranean nations have not achieved lasting political unity since the fall of Rome, and the 10 toes equate to the 10 horns of the 4th animal, the 10 kingdoms of the Antichrist alliance in territories formerly held by the Roman Empire. Now, I'm not implying that this 10 king alliance currently exists or that any current leader or country is the Antichrist. The Ten King Alliance and the Little Horn don't fit history, so they must lie in the future. The poorly mixed clay and iron in the toes of the statue anticipates the breakdown of this Ten King Alliance and some of the divided post-Roman lands into war. And this same war corresponds to the three horns uprooted by the little horn and the wars of the kings to the north and south of Judea in Daniel 11. Therefore, when you take all these things together, you can see why the post-Roman era was characterized in the dream as divided, but retaining some Roman influence or iron. So the little horn of the fourth beast that persecutes the saints in Daniel 7 does not fit Rome. Though it persecuted Christians on occasion, the Roman Empire did not make war with Christians for only 3.5 years specifically, which is the meaning of time, times, and half a time. And crucially, the Roman Empire did not immediately precede the kingdom of God being established on earth, which is what we see in Daniel 7. So the little horn and feet of iron and clay are better regarded as some kind of later offshoot of the Iron Beast Rome that arises out of the Roman Empire. Some Christians see the little horn of the fourth beast in Daniel 7 as the future beast of Revelation, found in Revelation 13:1, because both come from the sea and the little horn's reign is destroyed and replaced by a messianic kingdom, and that's what happens in Revelation. So I agree with this interpretation for reasons given in my book, God, Mind, Body, in the chapters covering the later chapters of Daniel, as well as the chapter on the book of Revelation. So the already fulfilled prophecies in Daniel 2 and 7 should give people confidence that the not yet fulfilled prophecies about the little horn, the Ten King Alliance, the Son of Man, and God's kingdom will also come to pass in the future because Daniel has already got so much right. There's more detail on the book of Daniel in my new book, God, Mind, Body, available now to read for free on my website, robertensor.com, or you could buy it from Amazon in paperback or ebook format, and there'll be links in the description below. Thanks for listening.